Hello everybody and welcome back to another one of those videos where I talk about updates on the Steam version of Dwarf Fortress coming from Toady1 and Kit Fox. We have two more blog posts on Bay 12 which I'm going to read, as well as a little bit of a follow-up from the report for June 1st from May. So if you want to skip the part where I read things, skip to here. You still with us? Alright, let's get into it. So the first chunk I want to comment on before we dive in, before I start reading Zach's post from Friday, is June 1st's report. So I don't often talk about the revenue reports that are posted on the Bay 12 forums, just because I don't think it's really my place to cover them here. However, since January of this year, their revenue has been consistently dropping. And for the month of May, there was a pretty considerable drop after April. Zach posted alongside of that, basically stating that, hey, revenue has been down, and from the post from this week, we have from Zach, clearly a lot of people stepped up from the community to support them because Zach says as follows. Thanks to everyone who helped out in our time of need. Without your help, we can't keep the lights on. Even this close to the Steam release, we are so very grateful for your support. Essentially, if you haven't yet, now is a good time to go chuck some dollars at Bay 12, either directly through their PayPal or through Patreon. Of course, the link can be found on bay12games.com/dwarves, and then click on the support button on the right. The second chunk of the post is as follows. Old and new features are coming along great in the graphical interface. I now have put my stamp of approval on the minecart system after having my water wheel powered rollers shoot a minecart carrying a dwarf carpenter out of a hole in a wall and over a 3-layer drop into an underground cavern. There was more chaos above, and the new animal agitation system with Savage Wilds seems to work on the first try. After cutting down a bunch of trees, my poor unprepared fortress was stormed by a pack of enraged ostriches. Even the caravan and price calibration is more satisfying, as it meters the rate at which your population used to balloon out of control. All in all, I think things are coming off better than expected. And then today we have a post from Tarn, and he says, after various additions from last time, I turned back to instructing new players. It didn't take us long to decide that we needed tutorials, after all. And now, as you are entering the Embark map, it asks if you would like to do a tutorial. And the game searches the world for an optimal tutorial location. Forested brook, pretty flat, and as it stands, this is subject to change, of course. There is a short 4-stage tutorial covering camera controls and mining a staircase and chopping trees and stockpiling wood and making a carpenter shop and adding a task. Obviously, there's a lot left to teach, and this may expand. Whatever isn't tutorialized, we're trying to cover by other means. I've also added 10 instructional pop-ups so far for various menus, using the typical "don't show me this again" checkbox. And we have more stuff in the works. Hopefully, by the time we're done, people will have enough of a handle on the game to continue learning on their own. I also updated the save options and cleanup screens, which had been lingering up to this point. No news here, just making them fit. Thanks to a tip from Putnam, world generation is somewhat faster now, about 25% or so. People were obsessing about their books a bit too much. And I think some other speed optimizations that apply everywhere, continued tweaking item values, and Jacob and Carolyn have been sending in art, which I've been incorporating. More items show their material colors now, where they didn't before. Alright, so there's two parts of this post that I really want to kind of get into here. The first part is Zach's bit from last week, where he talks about shooting a dwarf out of a hole using a minecart. It's good to hear that minecarts are going to stay more or less untouched, as they have been for a long time. Minecarts are kind of an eccentric, weird feature of Dwarf Fortress that allow you to do a lot of things that maybe they shouldn't be able to do, but that's part of their charm and fun, frankly. I mean, loading items into a minecart and using it as a projectile weapon is never really truly going to get old. Although the fact that a minecart going at the speed of sound can be stopped by a cow, I think, is a little bit strange. Without killing the cow, I should add. It either, turns them into red mist or, bounces off and kind of does nothing. But, you know, more science needs to be done in that regard. The second bit of this that I kind of wanted to touch on, the Savage Wilds thing that they are tweaking. So essentially, if you settle in a eviler biome or a more active, like Untamed Wilds or a Savage biome, because certain biomes have like different characteristics, right? They have Calm, which is just like, okay, small animals that aren't going to be a big of a deal. But if you settle in a more violent biome now, it seems like the wildlife's just going to attack you if you damage the biome too much, which is fun. So it seems like we're going to get attacked by ostriches and emus and can properly reenact the Great Emu War, which I'm looking forward to. I guess it means that there will be dangerous creatures running around that aren't just, you know, your honey badgers, which quite frankly are already bloodthirsty monsters. And whenever I settle somewhere and find honey badgers, I'm immediately worried that we're doomed. And now moving on to Tarn's bit, he does talk about tutorials here, which I do think is quite interesting. A lot of people have been asking about tutorials nonstop, and all I've been able to say in responses to comments is this, essentially just, currently we don't know. Currently they're just going with tooltips, but we'll see what ends up happening. But it seems like they've made up their minds that they do want some sort of tutorial, so it sounds like the way it's going to work, based on the way Tarn wrote it here, is that you're going to select that you want to start a tutorial when you go to embark, and when you start the tutorial, it will give you a recommended spot to stop. Because like back when I spoke with Tarn last about tutorials, his concern was, I guess we could tell you how to chop down tree if you have trees, because it's possible, you know, to settle somewhere where there won't be trees. And that's a bit of an issue when you're trying to teach somebody how to chop down a tree. So it sounds like they are tutorializing some basic things, and I'm curious to see what that ends up looking like in its final format, although it might cut into my friend Tekid's revenue stream there if they tutorialize the game too well. Granted, there will of course be some obsessive maniacal things to go about doing and learning from people like myself and other people who play this game too much. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you watched the beginning of the video, you'll note that now's probably a good time to chuck extra money if you have it at Bay12 Games. But if you want to support this video and the content that I do directly, you can do that either via Super Thanks down in the comments section. You can click the little heart button with the $sign on it to tip me directly under the video. Or if you want to support me directly, you can do that through my Patreon, patreon.com/BLINDIRL. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/BLINDIRL. We will be playing a lot of Dwarf Fortress. VODs and news are available on this YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.